Hi there. Thank you today for coming to the next interview in the series for dog owners to discover the secrets of dog experts that will transform your connection and create the best friend you've always wanted. Today, I am here with Lisa and Brad Waggoner. So thank you for coming today. I will just say a little bit about you before we jump in here. You both have together, you have 37 years as a team working together. And for many years now, you've been working with the Cold Nose College. And I just love the name of that alone. And you have so much great experience with dogs and helping families. And I really, thanks again for coming today.
Well, thanks for
Oh, you're
asking
so
us.
welcome. Thanks. We love to be here and we love to share information about, developing the human animal bond.
Thank you.
It's really
Yeah.
great.
So you two, I love the team topic because families are teams, and working together is always great. And so I'd love to hear how you guys got going in working in this kind of business together. I know you weren't doing this all the time
You're
together.
right. You're right. I never meant to be a dog trainer, literally. Never had any, well, at some point in time, I had aspirations to be a dog trainer, but I was just a normal dog guardian. We had a dog that I found as a stray hiking in the woods, brought her home. We lived in Atlanta at the time, and I wanted her to be a well-behaved dog. So I asked a friend who we thought had well-behaved dogs, and he shared some information with us. And we found a class in Atlanta, Georgia, and took our dogs to obedience school because we wanted Abby to be obedient. And we didn't know we didn't know. It was a class that used choke chains and prong collars and alpha rolls and learned helplessness. And we didn't know we didn't know. We got to be very good at using those techniques with our dog, and then moved to the mountains, added an Australian Shepherd to our life. And I thought, if you have an Australian Shepherd, I must do agility. So I started buying books on agility and reading books on agility. And I learned about positive reinforcement, how to reinforce a behavior and get more of it. And I realized, oh my gosh, it can be so easy. I have a learner who has immediate buy-in. I don't have to feel bad because I'm hurting my dog to train my dog. This is just amazing. So I started working really agility for fun with him for some months. We had just taken our first competition agility lesson. I was headed in that direction. He was amazing on all the new obstacles that he was negotiating. He was 2.5. And that was a Wednesday. And on Saturday of that week, he was tragically killed. And so I literally thought I was going to lose my life when I lost him. And 3 months after I clawed myself up from a depression, I said, I want to help people learn that there's a different way to train their dogs. But I didn't mean I wanted to be a dog trainer. I just wanted some professional education. We had been whitewater kayaking instructors before, and I valued education in teaching us that skill, honing that skill, I guess I should say. And so I wanted more education before I helped the shelter or before I helped friends. But wow, once I took my first dog trainer instructor academy, I was hooked. And so, the rest is history. That was in 2003. And started the business Cold Nose College in 2004. Was doing hobby training, group classes. We were both gainfully employed full-time. I was working as executive recruiter. Brad was in real estate, and I'll let that kind of lead you into how you got into the business formally.
From 2004 to, I guess, 2007, it was a hobby. Lisa was the trainer. I was the guy that followed her around carrying boxes. And 2007 came along, the economy went belly up. And I was in real estate. Nobody was buying houses. So my income went away. Lisa was in executive recruiting. That also went away. So basically we didn't have any paychecks anymore. Thought, well, people still calling about dog training. Let's do it. And so we went out and found an empty commercial building and leased it with no money coming in. We signed a commercial lease and figured, okay, we're going to start doing this full time. And so I'd better get myself educated. There was a lot of osmosis that happened. I learned some pretty good training skills from hanging out with Lisa for a long time. So I think it was in 2008, we went to Clicker Expo, APDT conference. We went to
We were all over the country
in
learning.
California for a professional dog walking academy, thinking we would offer that. I went to a Pat Miller Academy in 2008. 2009, I started with Karen Pryor Academy to further my education. And Colonel's College was up and running. And we moved from a 1,200 square foot commercial space to a 3,500 square foot commercial space, and which allowed us to start hosting seminars and workshops. And we were able to bring other people in, which drew people in from all over the country. Not only speakers, but people coming to attend those workshops and seminars. So that's how we sort of got our name on the map anyway. And training center went on for 5-6 years, and it was a blast. It was great having the facility, having all your training stuff in one place. But in actuality, for us in this environment, this rural environment, it wasn't a great return on investment. We really couldn't keep the building going as much as we needed to. So we were having more people ask for in-home private training. So we decided, well, let's just go that route.
Yeah, so we changed our business model, went back into in-home training. And that was the same moment in time that I gained my separation anxiety certification. And I started seeing clients virtually, helping dogs with separation anxiety. Brad did all the in-home training.
And I had always been a group class person. I really preferred teaching group classes, and I was not as comfortable in the one-to-one situation, but got there.
It's very different.
Yeah.
It's very different.
Yeah. But he was amazing. And then, as luck would have it, the universe conspires to put people together who work well together. We were, through a business coach, introduced to Victoria Stilwell and Van Zylu, who are well known. And we became a part of the VSA team and helped with build the curriculum and to get VSA off the ground. Victoria's, her vision of having an international professional dog trainer academy. So we spend the greater majority of our time now teaching aspiring professional dog trainers.
So now, instead of helping one family and their dog, we're helping 100 trainers who will go out and help 100 families and their dogs. So it's just a way for us anyway, now, after business has changed. You're in business, how it morphs over the years. And we were first a hobby business and a full-time with a facility, then back to in-home private, and last moving into virtual training, and now working with other students. So that's sort of been the evolution from a professional standpoint.
It's all changing right now so much, and it's very exciting that it's a good time for dogs. It's a good time for dogs.
It's a very good time for dogs, and it's a good time for people with dogs who don't have access to trainers, because virtual training is here to stay. It is, we have one trainer, we have other trainers who work with us, and I mentioned they have separation anxiety certifications, but one trainer who does not have that designation is started to do in-home training again, but people are still asking for virtual training. So it is so important in you having a platform like this for people to learn about it, see how virtual training can work with conversations with clients. It can serve dogs so well, especially dogs who have fear and anxiety, who can't be around other people or other dogs. It is a lifesaver and a very viable way of teaching.
But as we were saying, the way we have worked, from hobby training to having a facility to in-person to virtual, that's just how we get the information across. The information stays the same. We're still trying to help people and dogs live happily together, helping dogs learn how to live in our weird human world, and helping humans understand dogs and what they need.
Dogs are waiting. Dogs are wanting this. They're sitting there waiting. They're waiting. Right. That's what everybody, we all seem to agree that they're sitting there waiting and wanting to connect and to to do this and to
Well,
figure
one of the things I used to ask my clients, and we certainly in the group classes we teach for the jail dog program that we teach, we ask the detainees in the program, why do you think we train our dogs? And, the answer will be, well, so they'll obey, or so they'll be obedient, or so they'll listen. I said, we really are training them to not do their normal typical species behaviors. If you think about a dog's typical species behaviors, it's digging, biting, barking, jumping, and chewing. Yet we bring a dog into our weird human world, which is alien to them, and we ask them not to do any of those things. So we have to help clients learn how to provide outlets for those typical species behaviors. Otherwise, the bond won't happen.
Not unlike us, we have needs. We need shelter, we need food, we need healthcare and all of that. Dogs have needs. We also have wants. So we need to be sure that we're filling all of those needs and wants. Dogs, as Lisa said, need to dig some. They need to sniff. That's part of who they are. That's what makes them a dog. And if they're denied that, they're not going to be happy. If they're not happy, they're probably going to act that out in some way that's not suitable to be in our home. So many times it's helping someone understand that, you mean if I just take them out and just let them sniff everything for the next hour, as opposed to trying to walk 5 miles, that's going to be fine. Yeah, that's probably going to do you a whole lot better. Many people want to say, oh, if I walk him 5 miles, he'll be tired and then we'll have a quiet evening. A tired dog isn't always a happy dog. I've gone to bed tired many times, exhausted, and been troubled in my head or not happy. But my goal is and I love the term, is to have a dog with a satisfied mind. To have a dog that at the end of the night says, I got to chase a rabbit, or I got to sniff where the squirrel was, and I got to sniff every spot of pee on the path. That's a happy dog. So we got to make sure that we fill those needs for that dog.
Oh, I like that.
Or at least find an outlet for them.
Yeah, and I think, as Brad said, definitely meeting all of the dog's needs and many of their wants is very, very important. But also giving a dog a choice. Choice is important in the lives of human beings. And that's never been more true than this last 15 months from the pandemic. Think about the choices we don't have as humans these days and how frustrated that makes us. So if we can provide ways to give our dogs choice, that's really wonderful. It could be as simple as a choice of this toy or that toy. It could be as simple as, we're going to train today, and the dog seems a little off or disengages for some unknown reason. Maybe the dog is just not ready to train today. That's okay. I don't have to train today.
I'm not in the mood.
Yeah, and when I say train, really, yeah, I mean, there are specific things I work on with my own dog, and I have formal training sessions, but really, training is a lifestyle. It should be a normal part of a dog's life with a family. I think it was Ken Ramirez who said training is not a luxury. Again, and going back to what I said, we're bringing them into a weird human world. And if we can take advantage of what they're good at and help them get more of that and do more of that, then we'll have more of what we want, which is what people perceive as good behavior, right? Behavior is just behavior. It doesn't matter if you're dancing on the counter or jumping on the counter or standing with feet on the ground. The dog is behaving. It's the human who puts the judgment on the behavior.
And, as we know, behaviors get reinforced, get repeated. And you said that made me flash back to last week at our jail dog program. We were working outside in the yard, and they have some tables out there, and the detainees was working with his dog, and he had taught him to jump up on this picnic table, on cue, not bad. And I asked him, many of the detainees do adopt these dogs because it's a short-term facility. So many of the detainees are released and they get to adopt their dogs that they've been working with. So he was planning on adopting this dog. I said, so when you get home and that dog jumps on the dining room table, you can't get mad because you just taught him how to do that. And he looked at me like, Oh, I see. So, the dog's loving it. It's great as long as you're happy when he does it in the living room or dining room. So,
There is the environmental context to that,
yeah,
but
I
still,
bet
the
you that
dog learned
dog's
to go up.
I bet you he's gonna be on the table.
Well, you could teach them, to do like, I mean, I have the table and the agility field, right? And they just love it. So you can always have
Yeah.
that as a spot or something. That's hilarious and so
Absolutely.
true. And it's the same when dogs don't know that they've never been in a house and
Oh,
they think it's just
absolutely.
another hill or something, right? They don't know.
So being able to and
It's hilarious.
create some sort of an enrichment outlet for your dog, whether maybe nose work. We were speaking of that before we started recording. So allowing your dog to hunt for stuff, even if it's just scattering their breakfast in different corners of the house and letting them find it. Out in the backyard, if it's safe, hide their food in different places, let them go sniff it out and find it. That works the brain.
Yeah, and you think about the different areas of enrichment. There's physical enrichment, so physical exercise. There's mental enrichment, so where the dog is using their brain. There is social enrichment, where the dog, if the dog is dog friendly, social play is very enriching. And then there's calming enrichment, where they're dog massage or soft music. For a dog, I would be a border collie. For a person who's really energetic and on all the time, or a dog who is on as well, then providing relaxation and long, slow sniff walks is very good for
and
that.
Sometimes just hanging out with your dog. No agenda. We're not going to go do this 5-mile hike. We're not going to play frisbee. We're just going to go out and see what happens organic. Just hanging out.
Just be together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, how are human relationships built? They're built by spending time together.
Yeah.
Not by teaching one another things or one person teaching. So really just spending time together.
It is a relationship. And I've used that analogy with clients before. I said, they've had their dog from the shelter for just 3 weeks and they're wondering why he's not doing everything they're asking of him. I said, you guys just met. You're in the dating phase. You're not even dating seriously yet. So you can't expect a complete stranger to follow everything you say. And they go, well, I guess so.
Yeah. And that just leads me, something I wrote down that I wanted to remember to talk about is meeting the dog where they are. But listening, that's one thing dog guardians say, I want my dog to listen to me. It's like, well, you also need to listen to your dog. And listening to your dog involves learning to read dog body language. I mean, to really understand the dog body language, the signals that dogs tell us or that display that tell us as best we know what they're feeling internally. And if you learn to read dog body language appropriately, then you'll know what your dog is feeling. You'll know when to continue moving forward with your dog in an activity and your dog is comfortable and confident, or the dog is not feeling comfortable, in which case, by the body signals, in which case you need to withdraw from that environment.
Even if that the environment is safe and everything's fine, if the dog doesn't perceive it that way, we need to honor that.
When I have my dog with me on leash or off leash, whenever I'm with my dog somewhere, I'm her caregiver. I am responsible for her health and well-being. And I want her to be physically and emotionally safe and comfortable. And if she's not, then I need to figure out how to change that so she is, because then she can, if we don't want her to learn, she can learn if she's feeling emotionally and physically safe.
Yeah. And the more I like to say when I talk about this, the body language and stuff, when you start watching and learning your dog, the more you do, the more your dog, and when your dog realizes that she kind of understood what I was saying, they'll start doing it more. They'll start reaching out and they want to open communication too.
It's building trust. I mean, keeping the one you love, dog or person, keeping them emotionally safe and building the trust where that learner, that dog, that loved one in your life learns to trust you, that you won't put them into a situation that they can't handle.
It's a partnership. You know,
Mhm.
it's, and again, we talked earlier about words that get charged sometimes in the dog world. Leadership is one of those. Am I my dog's leader? Well, I pretty much decide if we're going to get in the car or not. And I pretty much decide
Everything.
if the food's going to get put on the floor or not. So you can sort of say that, yes, but he's still my partner. And I'm not just going to demand that he just do everything I say. That doesn't work.
We're a team. I do feel like I do feel like it's a leadership position, but it's more of a team.
I think of it as a guidance counselor.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think of it as I'm my dog's guidance counselor.
But
I'm
if you-
guiding them toward things that, I would like them to do.
We're old enough to have had multiple careers in our lives. And I have worked for people who were the boss, if you will, the leader of whatever organization. And there were some of those people, when they came into the room, I go, oh, geez. Okay, just hang on. I'll be gone in a minute. Then we can get on about doing our jobs. And there's other people who I'd lay down in the road for that had that same position because they supported the people, quote, under them, the other team members. Yes, they were the one in charge. They were the leader, but it wasn't about them. It was about making everyone else
Yeah.
stronger.
You're not here. You're together.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah, am I the leader? Yeah, I guess like I said, I put the food down and opened the door, but otherwise my job is to make him, my dog, look good.
And for anyone out there who's frustrated with their dog, and we all get frustrated with people we live with, right? But I want to just tell a quick story. I mean, the end result is you need to meet the dog where you are,
Or where they
or
are.
where they are. Meet the dog where they are. We lost a dog, lost my heart dog, and then we brought Cody home, and Cody was. He was a mess, as Brad would say. He's a hot mess. He was a stray dog adopted off the streets, was at the shelter for a short period of time, came home to us. He was reactive to everything. He'd never been in the house. So any new sound, he would just erupt with, because it was unusual to him, and he would bark, and if he didn't know what to do, he'd go up. And so he was up on everything.
And the cats were terrorized by him.
Cats were terrorized. And it was going to be Brad's project to train Cody, but he'd taken on that responsibility. And Brad was gone one day, I think with Cody, maybe to a class. And I was just frustrated as heck. Cody was hard. He was a hard dog. We were reaching out to our dog trainer friends. Are we doing everything? Are we doing everything right? Even professionals need help, because you can't be objective about your own dog. And I was taking a walk with our other dog in our open pasture and just thinking, Cody, he's just such a problem. He's not like Gibson, and he's not like Abby, who we just lost. I said, you know what? It makes me cry. So you know what? He's Cody. He's Cody. He is Cody, and I just need to meet him where he is and give him what he needs.
And
the turn of my psyche to wanting to help him because he was having a hard time, versus thinking that he's giving me a hard time, is what started my change. He hadn't changed, I changed. Like, I need to help him. This guy's having a hard time in this new environment.
And it did take a while.
Yeah.
It took several months to.
Well, I get plenty of calls from people that are not the dog. We know all the time. I mean, people get a dog and it's not what they thought. And a lot of times it has to do with their mindset. The dog is always doing the best it can. It's surviving as best it can always, right? And changing our mindset to understand where the dog is at. Yep. Mindset is one of body language, mindset, and connection. Those are my three. They're so powerful, and like you said, can change your relationships so quickly. It's exciting. I've seen it recently, and it's beautiful.
And as simple as what Brad always says, I'll let you say it, but you just shift your perspective. Instead of catching your dog, noticing when they're doing things wrong all the time, wrong by us, human judgment, they're only doing dog behaviors. But if you can start reinforcing them for all the things they do right,
catch them getting it right.
You're going to get more of that.
Absolutely. That's so good, eh?
Probably
That's so
right.
good. It really is. And I hope people will watch this twice because there's a lot of really good information there that you're saying and
We're,
important
we're
points.
good 99 times out of 100 pointing out or catching our dogs or seeing our dogs when they're doing something we don't like.
Yeah.
But we fail to recognize when they are getting it right. We kind of expect that. But yeah, let them know they got it right so they'll know what right looks like.
Because they
Right to
want to do it
us.
right. They want to please us. A lot of
So
times.
Well, they want to please themselves,
themselves.
but if they do it, if they end up doing what it is we like, we usually do something, or we should do something that pleases them. So they know now how to get the good stuff.
Yeah.
No, oh, if I lay here quietly, they'll just feed me bonbons. How lovely. Once they figure that out, they're going to lay quietly on that mat.
They're
While you
pretty
watch
quick
them.
at learning things when even to do things that you
they are
don't want if you're
brilliant
not careful.
creatures. 17 years ago, when I became a dog trainer, it was believed that dogs didn't copy and dogs didn't mimic. This research wasn't out there that is today that shows absolutely they do. Think of the things we've learned in the scientific studies in the last 10 to 15 years that have happened on dog cognition and the capabilities of dogs. I can only imagine, actually, I can't even begin to imagine what the next 10 or 15 years is going to bring relative to the capability of our dogs. The way they think, they feel, they have emotions. I mean, they're brilliant creatures. And all it takes is a little bit of time and attention to help them understand how to live in our weird world.
Yes, and they want to. I know there's so much studies. I interviewed Dr. Juliana Kaminsky, and she's and on the facial movement. And it's just, I mean, it was just phenomenal information and loving to hear how much studying, because body language and all of it, the cognition and fitting into our society, into our homes, and it's really growing in the knowledge and the positive. I love positive,
Our dogs know what we're going to do before we do it. I mean, they are so good at reading our body language. They've got, tens of thousands of years of reading human body language. So they can tell by the slightest move that we make kind of what our next move is, because they're good at picking up patterns as well. And we're very good at creating them. Humans.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder who domesticated who, who domesticated who over those millennia, that, who's buying the gourmet dog food and who's preparing it and putting it down for them. They're not fixing my dinner.
Yeah.
So
it's true. You know what? I did want you to find a way to go into the story you mentioned earlier, Brad, to do with, how we're all different in what we know or what we're good at. And there's kind of a lot of things involved to actually get this relationship to make it work with a dog, whether this part or that part or all of it. We were talking about like being able to teach a trick and then being able to actually be emotionally involved and connecting. It's kind of two different things for some people. Like my husband can do a trick, right? But I know he doesn't catch all the body language that I do. And
right.
Well, that's true. And I think what you hit on is what the dog's good at. My father had a PhD in music education, but I couldn't play the radio in tune. I was not good at that. From my dad's perspective, I was probably the dog who didn't know how to fetch. He didn't think that of me, but a dog owner might think, well, my dog won't fetch. He's no good. He's defective. Well, find something your dog is good at. And we talked about enrichment earlier, because that's what's going to be enriching to your dog. As Lisa mentioned, with one of our other dogs wanted to do some agility, but Gibson was pretty laid back. He wasn't that kind of guy. So turned into an awesome therapy team. They went into nursing homes and worked with elementary school kids. He was good at that and liked it. And then when Willow came, she wanted to continue that work, but she wasn't necessarily good at that in the beginning. So they went a different route. They did some more agility or nose work or dock diving.
And stand-up paddleboarding and nose work. I mean,
Cody did a lot of work with us. He was a demo dog for group classes. He was a neutral dog for dog-dog reactivity, but he was not good at going into elementary schools. Kids were not his thing. So we didn't do that with him. We didn't force it on him. We found out what he was good at and did that instead. And that makes the partnership and teamwork just work so much better. If the dog's happy he's doing it, great. You know, how many people have you seen, parents at the Little League baseball team, when the kids really aren't having fun, but the parents are just going at it? It's not having a good time all the time. So maybe the kid would rather take piano lessons, and that's fine. Find out what they're good at, find out what your dog's good at, and go with it.
Yeah, I think one of the things I think Jodie might have been alluding to was your kind of your analogy about a race car driver.
Yeah, like just the knowledge. Well, that was really good. Anyway, that's okay. But just, yeah, the different levels of knowledge.
Yeah, I think, and I think the more you start watching your dog, the more you start observing your dog, the more you'll want to observe your dog and understand. Your dog is a very amazing, complex, not complicated, complex creature, just like we human beings are. And it takes a while to get to know your dog and to build that relationship. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
You know, 3 years with Kaylee, my new girl now, gosh, my gosh, she lives in my heart. In the beginning, I was still somewhat grieving a dog who had passed away suddenly. She came home sooner than we would have anticipated, but we made the decision. But wow, how our relationship has grown and changed. It's just gotten deeper and deeper, you know, as she moans over here.
You know what you're talking about.
Throughout these 3 years, you know, it's just, I can't imagine, I couldn't imagine then how she could fill my heart so much now. But again, that's time and spending time with one another.
And I don't like the term average dog owner, that sounds less than. For most dog owners, they don't have the breadth of knowledge that professional trainers dive into. So helping the dog owning populace understand a little bit of learning theory, some body language, so that, you know, we don't just want to cram it all in because it won't stick. They'll be overwhelmed, they'll throw it out. But understand a little bit about it so they sort of understand the mechanics, going back to the driver thing, of what's happening when their dog is in a particular situation. I think is important. We try to drip feed that. We can't, you know, they can't learn in, you know, 3 1-hour lessons what we've learned in 17 years.
However, but if we can help them understand a little bit about how dogs learn, then the client, the dog guardian, will understand the why. Like, wow, why? You know, if a behavior is staying constant or increasing, then something is reinforcing it. You, the dog guardian, may not be reinforcing it, but something, that behavior is being reinforced if that behavior is staying stable or increasing. So just, you know, helping clients understand the why a little bit helps them have, I think, compassion for their dogs.
Yeah, exactly. I've had clients go, "Oh, you mean he's doing this because of that? Oh, well, that's easy. You know, I can manage this, or I can change that part." And then they're fine. And I think Lisa hit on the term that gives them a little more empathy. And once that happens, then they begin to see the dog as the sentient being that they are, and take.
And if you need to get help, I mean, everybody, you know, we only do as good as what we know, right? Just like we used to do horrible training things. This is why people are out there, and you can get help on it.
My favorite expression is, you don't know what you don't know until you know it.
Exactly, right? And
sometimes you got to hear it a dozen times before you begin to understand
but,
it.
you know, reinforcing behaviors you like will help you get more of them. Remember, it's reinforcement that always drives behavior. Brad's father,
right?
Yeah, Brad's father was had a PhD in music education. My father had a PhD in clinical psychology. I was raised in the 50s and 60s. It was a young child with positive reinforcement. My dad studied learning theory. He knew adding something to help a behavior increase was how to raise me. It's really fun to go back and look at some of the things early on from my childhood. So I got $5 for every A I got on my report card. Betty, I was going to study because I wanted, $5 was a lot in the 60s. So I wanted more $5. So I would study hard and get A's.
My father, being the education guy from the old school, made it clear to me growing up, if I ever brought home a D on my report card, I was grounded. I'd lose privileges.
Well,
And so of the
that's a
two
good,
of us, which one was the A student and which one was the C student?
yeah.
He went above and beyond to get that $5, and I did only as much as necessary to avoid the aversive outcome.
It's very interesting when you
So,
compare it like that.
so reinforcement is,
We
again, it's the employers that I've worked for. There are some employers that I would stay to midnight to get the job finished because they needed it, they wanted it, they supported me, they reinforced me when I did. And others, I couldn't wait to get out the door at 5.
Yeah.
Whether the project was done or not, I just got to go.
But it's fun. It's funny. The examples about our parents hit Brad like an epiphany. We were teaching at Victoria Stilwell Academy, an in-person academy. We're teaching learning theory. We're showing our slides, and we're
Dr. Susan Friedman.
There was a quote by Dr. Susan Friedman that brought up. Brad was standing in front of the class and said, "Oh my gosh, this just hit me." And about his dad and my dad. You know, wow, what a contrast from two different men who had, you know, one was using reinforcement, the other one was taking something away, you know, using punishment, and how it created different motivations for us. I was like, what can I do to get more of it?
Again, with our dogs, they may do what we want if we're using old style techniques, but they're only doing as much as necessary to avoid the unpleasantness. Whereas dogs that are trained with reinforcement, positive reinforcement, will work hard to make it happen.
Yes, they sure
I
can.
want my dog to feel happy and comfortable and not feel relief or, you know, discomfort when I'm working with her.
So when I call my dog to go, yeah, you're the guy with the chicken. Cool, let's go. Yeah, we're in.
I'm in. It's really amazing and how wonderful it works to connect with dogs. And I'm really hoping people are going to watch this and get help, but looking at your dog differently and seeing that your dog is, you know, they're just so aware of everything and they want to connect, you know, and people don't realize that when your dog comes and stands by you, they're most likely your dog is seeing something.
Thank you for saying that, because I never, when my dog comes to me, or whenever my dog does something that I ask, I never fail to say thank you, either with a piece of food that she likes, or a butt scratch, or a scratch under her chin, or say, good girl. I mean, say thank you. Yeah, every single time your dog acknowledges you, and you'll get more of that.
We're working outside, the dog just comes up to the nose and say, hey, what's up? Stop and take a minute to say, hey, dude, what's going on? Chase a squirrel.
You know, our Rocket Recall DVD, we love teaching recall, and that's the first part of it, is like anytime your dog comes up to you, then pay off.
Your dog, hi, you know, hey buddy, how's it going? Even my dogs are used to me doing that. They love
to build a relationship, and then we have some a methodology for teaching recall, and you know, it works every time, and it is a way to have your dog turn on a dime and go, oh my gosh, yes, I'm going to come to you. You bet.
And there are still those out there who might believe it. No, food is not bribery. Food's a reinforcement.
It's a paycheck.
Comes after the behavior.
I call it a paycheck.
And pardon us if you hear a cat caterwauling behind us. That would be Molly. She is 22 years old this month.
Oh boy.
And she can't hear, but she has a voice that's like a Buick.
Yeah, she does. It's her mid-afternoon feeding time. She comes in from outside, sleeping in the sun on her little mat, and she says, feed me now, please. And we do.
This is the queen's life.
Well, Jodie, I just think, just say thank you for all you're doing. I know you have some wonderful trainers and speakers who are all, you know, providing different information about, you know, how we do things and what we think about. And so, you know, props to you for putting all of this together to share with the dog guardian community globally. I mean, that's the great thing about virtual training these days, is that, you know,
there's lots of possibilities. The possibilities just grow with this option. And, you know, I really feel like, I really believe that everything you both have said, Lisa and Brad, have added to what has already been recorded and presented in these interviews, and it's going to be very knowledgeable, lots of great information, and I hope lots of people watch this. I'll stop recording, and yeah, thanks again, both of you.
You're
Thank
so
you. Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you.